Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 11th episode of BINJ Live. I'm Jason Pramas, Executive Director of BINJ, and Chris is who? Who's Chris?
I'm the editorial director or the director of editorial, depending on my mood. It's kind of like the way a rapper's name is often spelled differently on different albums. You know, I go with the title, I shuffle it up a little bit. And I have to, by the way, 11 episodes. Oh, do we get a plaque from YouTube for that?
No, we need about 100,000, subscribers before we get a plaque, I believe.
Woo!
That's the first plaque. Then there might be 500,000 and 1 million.
They could spare a digital plaque. But
that would
anyways,
be nice.
I have to apologize to everyone ahead of time, even before we introduce our guest. And no, I'm not leaving early. It's not that sort of apology, that corny apology. But I may be actually screaming in screeching pain at certain moments if I move the wrong way. My back is messed up. Of course, Jason has forever back pain. Nate's got his pains of his own. I know they are probably just tougher than I. Also, but it is, man. When the things line up wrong, it is just the worst thing ever. So, if you see me screaming, maybe it'll make for some entertainment factor.
Yeah, you did well earlier in the day with your shortcut. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, when I get animated, I don't move slowly, and that's the problem. So, being me is tough when you have back pain. If I was like, if you're like a little kind of waspier, I think I'd be safe. You know what I mean?
We are both Southern Mediterranean people ourselves, so we tend to gesticulate more. But I don't know. So our guest tonight, though, is Nate Homan, longtime BINJ investigative reporter and gadabout and man about town.
So let's start with this, though. Nate, do you have your jacket handy? Do you have your BINJ jacket handy?
Because I can get it right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get a picture grab it because I am often asked, Jason. We were just asked about this, right? By Linda. So this is a thing. It's kind of like it's out in the wild, and Nate is wild. Nate is at shows all the time. So there
very
it is.
Stylish.
People ask who is the guy in the BINJ leather jacket. So
we don't have these. So Chris and I.
What is the story behind the BINJ leather? The BINJ leather. This was not standard issue.
He can't hear you.
Where'd it come? What's the story? What's the story?
Yeah, of that jacket?
This was not standard issue. Not all BINJ reporters have the leather.
Olivia Deng actually did the.
Right. Props to Olivia.
Yeah.
Hey, Olivia.
Beard stuff on. All right. So Olivia did. So did you just like? And what's it done with? Is it painted on or?
I mean, if I knew the answer to that, I would have fucking painted it myself.
Good point. Yeah.
So props to Olivia. If anybody else needs some custom BINJ leather, hit up Olivia Dong and actually just communicating with today. So all right, so that's the guy. That's the story. Nate, you didn't hear me because you had your headphones off, but that's the story for those who ask me every now and then. And Jason gets the question: who's the guy with the BINJ leather jacket? Do all reporters get BINJ leather jackets? Answers
not yet.
Nate Homan, and not yet.
It's on our list. We will have arrived when we all have BINJ leather jackets.
If we actually do have it, then I really do then I have to change everything up because I will just look like Marlon Brando in the Wild One, just shorter and not as devilishly handsome. But no, I don't. After everybody in the world had a Sons of Anarchy hoodie that made it look like it was like a Hell's Angels back patch, it was like okay, at this point, what are you gonna say? Like, hey, that sounds ridiculous. What are you, like a literacy type motorcycle gang? But all of that is correct, minus the motorcycle.
I love it. It's like if think tanks in DC had like motorcycle rockers,
right?
So all right, so Nate, listen, I could go. You're like a very old. This is very old school alt journalism when we still said that, and you are a man of you do it all. You're in bands. You box
sometimes.
You rep BINJ, and I have to say, big thank you since we're public here. If half of our reporters, contributors were as enthusiastic as Nate, we'd have a different kind of operation going on here.
Yes.
And maybe one
We'd
of these
have a pretty serious gang too.
Yeah.
But
we roll thick. So but Nate, where do you come from?
Oh, South Shore.
Yeah, I mean, what's your deal? What's your what do you grow up reading? Bring us to this point, because I met you at the Phoenix, but you existed before the Boston Phoenix, so not before the newspaper, but you know what I'm saying.
No,
what's your come up story?
I grew up playing in punk bands, and a lot of the most common sort of tired question that anybody asks in ours are, who's your influences? So like, I actually took the time to look up people's influences, and like, I remember looking up Joe Strummer's influences, and instead of coming away with other musicians, he had this long list of all these American authors, and that was it right there. Like,
I mean, these things go hand in hand. I gotta say, I always tell the story of Greg Palast, the best democracy money can buy. I interviewed Greg Palast in 2002 maybe. And on the Bowery, literally CBGB was still open, and his office was a couple doors down. And this, I mean, I still have the article. I wrote it for YRB magazine. I walked in and there were, like, no exaggeration, 20 guys, girls with mohawks, the whole deal. And he gave me this whole spiel on how he hates journalists, and he only trusts punk rockers. And mad props to him, Greg Palast. But for you, where did that intersection come? Like, what, because for me, I'm more of a hip hop guy, and there were some reporters, but still, I kind of feel like I did my own thing. I feel like you're the same way. You weren't, you wrote about you were writing about terrorism cases, and your interests are across the board. So how did it all coalesce for you?
It really was the blending of like what I saw the DIY culture in like punk rock and hardcore, what they're actually able to create. It's to the point now that I think there's an article in the Globe about how Boston hardcore is like making positive impact on this community, and it's like that must have like that right, like
sorry,
but here's the problem. This is not a failure of reporting on the part of the Boston Globe. We finally found the way to actually contribute in a positive sense that didn't directly involve at least the prospects of kicking kids out of someone.
And it took 40 years, because I was around it in the 80s, and there was a lot more ass kicking in that period.
Wow, what a country we had!
It's a beautiful country we live in.
I mean, while we have you here, I mean, there's no boundaries. You were giving me a little tutorial on how stuff that's really Boston hardcore is having its moment. You want to give us a little insider's perspective?
Well, right now, the band that's changing the world is Haywire. They have literally toured. I think they may have toured almost all 50 states. They are living the actual dream of just being this incredible band that is out on the road with the lead singer doing front flips into the crowds every single night.
And punk being punk, these guys all come from like 150 other bands. Anything that
billions.
I was wondering why they were I just was on YouTube earlier, and Haywire shows up, and I'm like, wow, why are they just showing up like that?
Because
I know.
I'm not quoting them on their approach. This is just my personal take on it. They write love songs that you could beat the mortal shit out of someone to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There it is.
They don't sing about the evils of the system, and they don't sing about like loyalty to the crew or nothing like that. Like their most popular songs are melodic love songs. But you could just as easily knock somebody's teeth out to it. So
okay, which you couldn't do to Green Day because it was too melodic. Yeah, and plus people wanted to beat them up and did.
But I wasn't there for the hat shell riots, so I can never, they're a Broadway play now, but back then they almost turned the city completely over. Like, you can shit on pop punk all you want, but there were no like. Hardcore didn't do that. We didn't really have a chance, but
so Nate, before we get on to your current reporting and recent reporting, are you I know you were recently playing in a band, boxing. Like, where can people see you in public besides all over Alston wearing the BINJ jacket?
Oh, I don't want anybody to come see me.
So everyone go see Nate. You know, wherever he's going to be. We'll just keep
Are you
track.
playing right now? Are you in a band right now, or what?
I'm like in between it. It's harder now than it's ever been. Boxing.
Why?
Gentrification is a problem.
Oh, you mean just to find a place to have a gig? Yeah, that's true. Of course.
Yeah. But like things are so incredibly fucked up in so many different ways that people don't really even know what specifically to be mad about. And you know, I may not just go into detail. I just be like, no, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm mad about. I'm just fucking pissed. Like, fuck off. Like, all right.
All right. Well, with that, so all right. So you know, it's kind of funny because you're not you know, for all your for all of that, for all your extracurricular activities, you are, you know, I don't feel like you're not channeling anger through journalism. You're more of a somebody who gets deeply interested in a topic, and unlike a lot of other reporters, can spend years on something. And we're gonna get to your big your white whale soon, but. First, I just want to talk about, since we're talking about people getting their head smashed in and all of this. Am I to pronounce it, Jason? Do you want to do the pronunciation for us? Is it Boohurt?
Boohurt.
Boohurt?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know what the pronunciation was. I kept wanting to say butthurt.
Well, I was like, but there's no T.
No, there's no
in the
T.
middle.
And so, yeah, like it's this wicked violent sport with like this super French name. It's like, damn it, dude. Come on.
Well, give us some of the background.
It's Boohur? I guess you'd say Boohur.
It's something like that. I don't know. This is why I do the writing part. Like, I'm not here to tell you guys about this shit because, like, Well,
all right, look, I'll make let me make a ticker here. I'm going to put this
in the
spelling
article
for people. Here it is.
I think, Nate, that is what you did as the reporter. It's in the article.
But I'm putting it on the ticker right now. See? Okay, that's the word we're saying, everybody.
All right, cool.
We're saying
Boohur, I guess. And really, it's more like head hurt, fist hurt, neck hurt.
Here's why I can't really tell you the pronunciation, because the person who's telling me what the word is doing it with a fucking hunk of metal wrapped around their head. There's an they're doing it with a knife.
All right, so let's start from scratch. Jason, can you pull the article up? Or
I will pull the article up. Here I go.
So the article is Knights of the Wicked Dark Ages, Medieval Beatdowns with Boston's North Horde, and it is awesome. It's BINJ Sports, which we need a logo for BINJ Sports. We have a couple.
We're doing more of it lately. This is like the third or fourth such article.
Next week we're going to be talking, you know, jumping around playgrounds and parkour. But for now, technically this sport is armored combat and steel fighting. Nate, what the hell? What's going on? And I'm sure some people this is going to explain something because they saw it. They drove past people dressed like it was the medieval age. This is truly, and I still have this reaction even after editing the whole story. Absolutely nuts. And I just want to say one more. Nate is quite nuts. Nate boxes, which is just absolutely insane.
Crazy.
But I asked Nate, Jason, if he would do this, and he said, "Hell no, this is even above his crazy level." So
really, Nate, I thought this was Nate's idea.
There is a ceiling to my, maniacal tirades and shit.
So why you tell us about this? Why is it so terrifying to even you?
Well, I boxed with this guy Anton Malkov, and I didn't box with him. I boxed in proximity of him. This is somebody who, in a spirit of all things benevolent, would absolutely refuse to fight me. There is no glory in just beating the shit out of a helpless opponent.
Which would be you in this case, I guess. So.
I mean, every all day long.
Wow.
But he left the sport to go pursue this style of combat fighting, where you put on 14th century era armor and battle it out in these, we call it a ring. It's just sort of a bunch of 2x4s holding, and they're in 70 pounds worth of medieval armor. And
that's insane. I mean, that's like,
So I tried the helmet on, just one of the helmets, and the way
that was like 15 pounds or something.
18 pound helmet.
18 pounds.
But more importantly than that, the way it's set, it's like the Michael Keaton Batman where he couldn't turn his head; he had to turn his whole body, and like
that's how I am right now.
Yeah,
without 80 pounds of armor. And also it goes, this was in the summer months this is one of those great stories like we used to do. You tracked them for a while. You went to like several of their, this is like in the hottest months in the Burlington Mall parking lot in the middle of Alston. This is like, I mean, this is hipster jousting or what can we?
No.
These folks did not look like hipsters when let's find a picture here.
So,
there we go.
I met this team in its first inception years.
That picture is unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah. And that's like, that's it right there. They're fresh out of the ring right there with a big old pack of ice on our head.
And Jason, can you show the armor and weapons cache that we?
Yeah, that was a nice one.
So
that graphic. Did you do that?
Yeah.
That is A+ work there. I did not know how big the Burlington Mall was.
It just keeps growing, as I was saying earlier. Yeah.
So, it is mid-July. My wife and I are driving up there, and I said, all right, we're going to go check out this Knights in Shining Armor combat. And she loves Lord of the Rings. She'll watch the extended version of each of 3 movies in succession. And
wow.
She doesn't.
That's a 9-hour commitment.
She doesn't think it's unreasonable in any capacity, and that's fine. I just do something else.
Okay.
But it's July. We're driving through the Burlington Mall, which is this massive, expanding thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if I was in a nightmare because it wouldn't end. But
it's already past the New Hampshire border. It's going. It just keeps going.
But we're trying to find this gastro pub, but the beer garden is where the fight's going to be.
Right.
And we keep going around every single turn, and there's a brand new face to the thing. And God bless my wife. She says, "Are you sure? Where are these knights fighting in like the Tasty Burger or like the?" And it was one of them things where it was like, if I keep my hands at 10 and 2 and I just keep looking straight ahead, everything's going to be fine. But we get there and it's like this obnoxiously overpriced brew pub, gastropub thing. And in come the knight. And the helmet, like we said, there is about 18 pounds. The rest of it tops out about 70 pounds. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's full contact with dulled weapons, but like, I mean,
doesn't matter.
I mean, like, it matters in that you're not going to get
well, you box, right? I used to do full contact martial arts. Right. It's bad enough getting hit, especially in the head. At any kind of with any kind of reasonable force.
Right.
Right. And let alone what you describe here. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and there was a live and die by philosophy that I had, which was like, I would rather get hit in the head than in the body. But I don't know what the strategy is if your whole body is covered in like authentic 14th century armor. And
it's 90 degrees outside, right? So
right. And like it was like each of them fighting with their respective weapons, whether it was the swords or like the axes or whatever. That looked like it's incredibly challenging, but like you can see yourself going into that if you have that spirit in you. Then they get in there, and one of them's got like a good sized sword and a shield the size of like a small pizza, and. And the shield, you're gonna protect yourself and shit. Throwing these haymakers with this fucking like hubcap of a fucking thing on their hand, and that was the impact where it's just like, I know it's like to get hit with a 16-ounce glove on somebody's hand. It's not enjoyable, but yeah, they're knocking the shit out of each other, and you have to not only fight off this opponent of yours, but they get this sort of nightmare experience. They get the bell rung. It's called helmet horror, and they lose sight.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's this claustrophobia that takes place inside a knight's shining armor, which is pretty claustrophobic by nature to begin with. And yeah, they basically freeze and like enter a hall of mirrors, like hell on earth scenario. And it's one of those things that's like, no.
Their bell is literally getting rung.
Yeah, some of these comments are just unbelievable. Like, and I feel like they're just like said so nonchalantly by the people who like, as they're saying it. But to me, it's like just the whole helmet shock. It's absolutely terrifying. I mean, if you are anywhere near claustrophobic, it's obviously out. And then what's the what? I mean, of course, the whole all the heavy metal quotes. What does he say? You know, only the ones who push through. Oh no. Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people show up and think they're all that. I mean, I covered amateur football once, and you get these guys who just played a little, like, you know, D3 or high school ball, and then, you know, the coach said to me, "There's a difference between getting hit by even a D1 player and a cop who had a bad week at work." You know, like what is like you know, this is, by the way, if you gotta all see the videos, go to our YouTube page. If you're watching this, you're close. We have a lot of videos up. We were very competent on this one. There's videos embedded. When these people fall, they fall extremely hard. I mean, what is it? Are these just? I mean, these are select clips, but I feel like they're all pretty. You know,
they're select clips, but the rest of the round isn't much longer. They're 1 minute rounds,
right?
And you know, they'll go from either just like weapons contact only to weapons and punches thrown, and then it's sort of an open fight where we're talking weapons, punches, kicks, and like judo throws. Like they are throwing each other.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't do. It's not like full MMA type thing. Like we're not going to the ground with it, but they're tossing each other on their asses.
So the rules are a lot like sumo wrestling. What, Chris? Sorry.
Oh no, said they don't have chainmail underneath, right? So they
can have chainmail. They do. If they have a Persian outfit, they can.
Yes, but it varies. It depends on who. You know, it varies on how big the guy is, what weapon he's using. So, like, not only am I being thrown into this world where I'm like, I think it's called boo hurt. They're like, no, you wear different armor depending on the size of the motherfucker you got to go up against. It's like,
it's a give and take. I mean, obviously, more armor, you know, you're more protected, but you're heavier, you're slower. The whole thing is just absolutely out. And the quote, by the way, is you can ask for specific designs and strategic adjustments. The question then is, do you want to sacrifice coverage for mobility? Less weight means more speed, but less protection. Heavy armor for heavy weapons is always a good rule to live by. I mean, it doesn't really apply to my life, but for others, I suppose it's useful advice. What was the best match that you saw?
So I have no idea who fought who because they have these helmets on.
Right.
But
what kind of match? I mean, how about what weapon? What weapon is like? Is this kind of like, you know, some people like watching the heavyweights, but it's slower, not as many punches.
You described this. You described the team matches, which they don't do as much as they used to before the Ukraine war. You said.
Well, and we're going to talk about who's got the checkbook that's going to fly me to Europe if these guys go.
Okay. Well, we could talk about that.
Let's go, baby. All right.
All right.
Now I just hope the team makes the qualifications. But no, it's a lot of these are in the fight they did at the Austin Street Fair was a lot more like, you know, demonstration oriented fight where they weren't beating the shit out of each other. The ones at the Brighton Speedway in their beer garden. My wife and I were coming down the street, walking down the street on it, and we could hear the metal clanking away from outside, and like not just like outside the venue, like across the street from it, we could hear it. And this is like the Birmingham Parkway, Brighton Watertown line. There's a lot of traffic going on.
Yeah, totally.
And you could clearly hear things clanking away. And it's I mean, you would think there was like a kitchen that was slowly being turned over if you didn't know what was in there. But They
There's got to be. Is anybody show up tripping and think it's like think they're Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure or something like this? I could see this being terrifying for the wrong audience.
We could get Jack Gorsline on the case, Chris.
Yeah, we could get our psychedelic people on it.
They could double team with you.
I was gonna say, I mean, like, but like these things are also at like Renaissance fairs too. So like they're so weird that they don't need to be on drugs like hallucinogens. Like,
and is there kayfabe or is this real? I mean, is there? What do you suspect any foul play?
Where? Who's playing foul where?
No,
who can say?
I said, are the matches set up? I mean, it's obvious. They're not planned out. There's no theater to it. It's not WWE.
No. There's no pageantry, and there's no like Chauncey Phillips character, running illegal bets in the back either.
I was gonna say, are there bookies already for this? Like,
okay, so the major tournaments take place in Eastern Europe, and I don't know what a bookie does. I've never heard of one, especially. They're not.
They run the gambling.
I have never ever met a bookie from Eastern Europe. Ever.
Well, we don't know what they're called, but they definitely exist, and they can probably do whatever they want.
There's no betting on this yet, is there?
There's got to be. It sounds like the big tournaments are big. I mean,
like,
huge.
This is what people did for fun in the 1400s. So I'm sure they've found a way to modernize.
I didn't mean anywhere else. I meant on the local crew.
I don't know,
right.
Like FanDuel and shit like that.
Yes, thank you. I'm not naive enough to think that there's a sport that's been happening for multiple centuries that people are not gambling.
No, but I'm saying there's specific ways to gamble on it. Like, like in order for somebody to be a bookie in this sport, they would have to be so deeply enthusiastic about medieval combat. Like that is the prerequisite that you can't do this if you're just an average hood trying to be a bookie. You have to you got to know about medieval knights. God damn it.
Okay.
But
well, somebody must exist that can do both of these things.
I'm sure they live in Eastern Europe.
I mean, it's extreme cosplay. Is that?
It's LARPing for people that don't want to use foam swords anymore.
Right. They've kind of graduated beyond that, and they want to kick the shit out of each other. And
Well, and like, I mean, I say this with love in my heart, but like, when I transferred to Emerson College, I was very overwhelmed that first couple of days about going to like a real school. And then I saw there was a Quidditch team and a LARPing group.
I remember that was such a Phoenix article. I mean, I don't remember who wrote it.
Well, you're from the South Shore, like the homeland of Renaissance fairs, right?
It is.
Well, I mean, really, what it was for me is like they're either playing Quidditch or doing the cosplay thing, and there are drug addicts on the benches shooting needles into their arms.
They're always
I'm looking at this. You gotta be like, I have other things to do today, but like, the idea of shooting heroin and watching these idiots do this thing, like, if I'd given up in life, that's how I would do. Like, that's what I'd be doing.
Right, that would be the moment to die of fentanyl overdose, right? Right exactly. There would be the perfect death, pretty much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But like with this, they, I mean, they obviously took the love of history and really, I mean, kick-ass combat. But like, knights of this persuasion weren't here in the U.S. Like, these 14th centuries, they're adamant about this. They have no modern anything in these armor. There's no plastic. There's no zip ties. There's no nothing. It is by the book, 14th century style armor. I initially didn't really get why on earth they would be so specific about it. But then I checked out the leagues that allow plastic on it. I'm like, bitches. Right. You don't know shit. These guys, the North Horde.
Yeah.
All right. So they're closed down for the winter. I think, I mean, this is like, and I know you were writing this piece for a while, like all of your articles, kind of beating it over my head until I kind of opened my eyes and said, oh yes, this is cool. But what is, I think that we got to it early. Clearly, I don't even think that the Globe article will be next year. I think it'll be like the year after that. Although
sounds a little too rough and tumble for them, yeah.
Right.
So.
I don't know, but they have the Steven years, or I don't know if Steve's still there. Props to Steve.
Bless them if they
I don't
get
know,
it.
actually.
They
Nate's old colleague.
They've had since 1983 to write a positive article on Boston Hardcore, and they found it in their hearts to do so. Like last.
Yeah, so maybe they're coming around. But anyway, so I think I think I always, you got to say it. You got to give the hipster disclaimer, not to be so hipster, but we did it first. Well done. Knocked out of the park. Everybody go read that.
Go read this piece.
We have it all over our socials, and you'll have this, and we're going to cut up pieces of this.
Go back to the top.
Go to the BINJ YouTube, like a lot of other people have been doing recently, and subscribe, and you'll get all sorts of cool videos, including videos from Nate's piece. Now, I will transition. I will say, Nate, while it is ill-advised to get Nate Homan going on the topic of warlords, he's already put it in his
I'm
in
gonna
his
call up an article here.
And we're always pushing Nate's piece, and Nate is one of a couple, Nate's like one of like two reporters, maybe three, depending on how you count it. Certainly we have had other people spend more than a year on a story, but Nate produced a very long story, The Gift That Keeps on Giving, the story of Charles Taylor, but not just Charles Taylor, who Nate's going to introduce in a moment, but particularly his time in Boston. At least that's what we try to keep Nate contained
to.
And
we got it up now. People can see it. So there we go.
This story that never ends, and one of these days we'll get some more going, and Nate never stops working on it. But Nate, who is Charles Taylor?
Yes.
And we're gonna give us
who is this man, as they say in Hogan's Heroes.
Next time we talk on the next podcast, we'll go deep. But for now, let's just sprinkle it out and drop it on people. Who is Charles Taylor? Everybody's heard the name. Some people think it's Charles Stewart, but who is Charles Taylor?
Yeah.
He's a former dictator of the Republic of Liberia. He's a convicted war criminal for atrocities committed during the Civil War in Sierra Leone. He was born in Liberia in the late 40s, came to the U.S. in the late 70s to study business at Bentley College. During that time, he started getting involved with some pretty intense, underground criminal activity that was more underground than the famous folks of that time even knew about. His first, but he lived in Roxbury. He worked at a factory in Southie during the 70s. So that's the Southie busing crisis, and he was living in this area right in Whitey Bulger's backyard, and their paths don't cross. Which is
imagine that.
No, I mean, that was one of those moments in this where it was like, oh, I could write a big thing on this. Like, yes.
What was the first thing that hooked you? Because when you were pitching this story years ago, you kept saying, and it's of course one of the highlights, he's the only person to successfully escape from a Massachusetts prison, which I assume means not had to go back and been caught. Which is a good selling point.
We know one other person that was almost successful, so that
right. I mean, the first I was looking up unsolved criminal history, whatever, that wasn't based on missing people or murder stories. There's nothing that I can bring to any of those that is of any value. And so I started looking up unsolved prison breaks and just the history of prison breaks. First prison break that was ever recorded in the United States was in Ipswich in like 16 whatever, and I figured I could probably I could maybe throw something together that I could convince you to run. It's like
prison. Who doesn't like prison breaks?
Yeah.
Well, don't threaten me with a good time. I've got a long list of guys who broke out and stayed gone.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was sort of the thing. Was like, what? Find me something that's just unusual, and I'm thumbing along through all the facts and stats of anything Massachusetts prisons oriented, and it says that president of Liberia broke out of the Plymouth County House of Corrections in 1985. Who the fuck is the president of Liberia?
Yeah.
So that's really where that began there. And so looking up this guy, I didn't really. I expected to write a sort of a feature piece. That was the blueprint of it was going to be the article from the Boston Phoenix when God walked through the projects.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be the I was just going to base whatever was coming off of that specific story. It's a dynamite feature on a local criminal kingpin who had nothing to do with the guys whose names you know. And though I don't think there was anything particularly timely about it, like it wasn't his birthday and he didn't die or anything. It was just a great story. But then I looked up and saw which prison it was that he broke out of. It was Plymouth County. I'm from the South Shore. Grew up in Plymouth County. Not the county itself. I've never. But my hobbies, my pastimes are, boxing gyms, punk rock shows, and recovery meetings and whatnot. I said, the law of averages says I have to know somebody who knows somebody who was locked up in Plymouth County in 1985. And lucky me, it was my brother-in-law. And that's true. But that's the sort of dumb luck that carries these things.
So you needed something. I mean, like I'm sure it wouldn't have stopped you if you had nothing, but you would have found something. But
that would have been the feature. There would have been just sort of like a bitchin' feature, 850 words, 1,000 words, if I really made them sweet, and that'd be that. But
so this is like the most binge thing ever, I think, because and especially you just say cross paths with Whitey Bulger, not literally, or perhaps, but but of course it's like while Charles Taylor's bloodbath was not stateside, he makes Whitey Bulger look like a Boy Scout, of course. So it's always like and I gonna have to throw my own thing here. We're currently trying to get this stolen bust home. I know where this stolen bust is. I won't get into it, but everyone's still worried about the Gardner paintings, which we're never going to get back. So here you have a war criminal. I mean, this is like the ultimate. Oh, by the way, Nate, this is a guy with biographers. Like you literally read books, like Simon and Schuster stuff. Like, so, but the Boston part, how much was there at all? Like, how much had it been? Is it kind of like it was always an afterthought, right?
And where's your book deal? Where's Nate's book deal? Where's Simon and Schuster for Nate? It's a drag.
The biographies on him, I read 2 of them. They do a dynamite job covering his life once he got to Africa. I think they both probably had like 2.5 pages worth of information on his time in the U.S. So
that's really nuts. How about the and I don't know, without getting into there is the whole aspect where the CIA was involved allegedly, and that's been written about in other contexts. I mean, this is stuff that comes up. I mean, even conspiracy theorists, they hate when something is real. That always cracks me up. And this is like super real. How much do conspiracy theorists talk about Charles Taylor? How much nonsense did you have to sift through? Or is it just kind of a straight cut and dried Hague case with all sorts of documentation, which we know is there?
I never entertained a single word of conspiracy theory because if the people who let him out, whoever they were, knew what was coming next, they never would have done it. So
no, I'm just saying how much chatter, how popular is Charles Taylor on the interwebs?
Zero. Nobody has any idea who this man
is. It's crazy.
No one knows who this man is. And that's not a lot of it is like the information really wasn't readily available to these people, but also they really, really, really would have had to give a fuck about a guy who broke out of prison in Massachusetts. The only reason that I could give a damn is because, there was a guy in there who spent considerable amount of time talking with this man.
Yeah, I mean that was before the internet, all this stuff, you know, for the public. Like only geek, like I had access to it through friends at MIT in the late 80s and stuff like that, even the mid 80s a little bit, but most people didn't until mid 90s really. And so like that's in Liberia, you know, like where he was dictator, he was dictating as it were during a period when his people weren't on the net yet. You know,
on the net yet. They didn't have 500 miles of paved roads.
Right, or certainly not phones like this.
And I gotta say, you know, this is a story that Nate continues to report. Hopefully, we'll have something to binge. But in general, it's tied into a million things because, of course, it goes without saying that Victor Boot is another character in this story, of course, and who Nicolas Cage once portrayed, the Merchant of Death. Not a great guy. Unless you ask Alex Jones, he has been showing up on his show every now and then. So this is like, I'm not going to say Charles Taylor stuff pops off every day, but this is an American, Liberia is an American disaster, if you will. And
one of many, yeah.
Yeah, really. And anybody who thinks that things are so great, I cannot stand when people say things are so crazy, so much worse. Things have been insane. And if you know stories like the story of Charles Taylor and Liberia and the United States' involvement in this absolute debacle, murderous debacle, it makes, but I think the internet point is a good one, Jason, because you look at Coney, who different situations, of course, but what happened with that
blueprint type warlord situation. He
ripped his shit off, right?
I mean, he basically just had the same strategy as Charles Taylor did.
But just think about how many more people know about James Coney. That's all I'm saying, basically.
Right.
Well, okay, so the problem is that none of his atrocities were here in the U.S. He was in jail for money laundering, and during his time there, the government of Liberia essentially collapsed in a failed revolution attempt. They got really close, these revolutionaries, but the government held on, and they totally lost the money that Charles Taylor was funneling was coming out of Liberia into the United States, and from there into the hands of rebel and activist groups that are actively trying to overthrow this dictator. He gets busted for this money laundering, but again, it's coming from Liberia into the United States. We're not going to charge him with that. This country was founded on money laundering. So he's taken into custody and he's going to be extradited to Liberia and he's going to be off our hands, no problem. Except while he's being held in Plymouth County, the government of Liberia collapses. And now this guy, we can't send this guy back to Liberia. There might not be anybody at the fucking airport. So he does this 2-year-long bid in Plymouth without any charges from the United States hanging over his head. But
it's one of the most insane stories ever. It also includes, Naomi Campbell shows up. Everybody but Kevin Bacon. It's absolutely nuts. And
Pat fucking Robertson.
I'm gonna put
that doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
I'm gonna bring it to I always like to bring it around for the holidays. It's a great long read for people to get into. But I think Nate, if you were to is there a movie, by the way? What's the deal with that? Because we're, of course, Nate's movie rights are available at the moment. But is there a movie already?
There are 3 movies that are inspired by there's 11 individual counts of crimes against humanity that Charles Taylor was convicted of. There's 3 movies. The entire premise of them is centered around one specific crime for this one for here, one for here. There's Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. There's Beasts of No Nations with Idris Elba, and there's Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio. And these are all, my goal is to take what became 2.5-hour-long major blockbuster movies and turn them each into individual chapters. I'm the reductionist type. I have no patience for handsome white guys in the jungles of Sierra Leone.
Fair enough.
I think
Or
Yeah, I mean, for me,
gun dealers, ex-KGB gun dealers who have like a Memphis twinge. Like, we don't got time for that.
no, this story is just so. I
Okay.
mean, listen,
It
we
goes on, yeah.
it goes on, and I want you to tell us basically where the story is now, not just yours, but where Charles Taylor is, before we close out. But I'll just say, like, this really is, it's bigger than it's so big, and Nate, it takes a true nut to cover something like this. And as all the hell I give you for the massive amounts of copy you file on this stuff, I understand that it is dense, it is movie, it is television miniseries worthy. Hopefully, we get that going someday. But really, a work of of passion and a work of art. And
we could get a lot done if our fucking editors would just take this more fucking seriously.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Well, actually, I mean, here's the thing. If Charles okay, so bring us up to date on Charles Taylor. Convince me. I mean, he's just kind of sitting there. Huh? How old is he now?
He's in his 80s, and he's serving a life sentence in The Hague because his armies were mostly teenage boys, and they chopped people's arms off en masse, and they sold blood diamonds to the most prolific weapons traffickers since the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Now, this is a guy who he might qualify for like the worst person of all time. Everybody's always giving Donald Trump that.
I would say
honor. I think it might be him.
Trump isn't even on the map compared to some of the characters in history.
I would say he's the worst since Pol Pot. Like,
tough company, man.
Yeah, it's tough company. His whole, most dictators who want to conquer a country and like take hold of the nations themselves. These guys just wanted the raw resources, and so like there was a civil war in Sierra Leone, which is where all the De Beers, like half the De Beers diamonds come from. All the armies that wanted to take control of Sierra Leone, they went to the coast where the capital city is. They fought it out there. Charles Taylor goes right up into the mountains, says these mountains are filled with diamonds. You can have your capital city, and it's beachfront property. Have a great time.
He was focused. Yeah,
right. It's like you can have this beachfront property. If you come up these mountains, you're gonna chop your fucking arms off. And
then did. Yeah. So
they chopped it out. And so he was the warlord gangster. And what I want to push, because we have focused on his business degree from Bentley, the question then becomes, what does a guy who chops people's arms off do with a business degree as such?
Oh, by the way, tell it. Did you get his name removed? Was his name removed from the famous alumni page for Bentley?
Oh no! I mean, they had a plaque with his picture on it of their famous alumni page right next.
That's crazy.
Right next to Jay Leno and the drummer from Dream Theater.
Right.
Wait, is it gone now?
Well, they definitely don't have the website that I initially sourced. They might have a different one, but the one that
we're gonna have to look into that.
But the business negotiations that this man was able to network it during his time as the dictator of Liberia is worth its weight in attention, because this business degree of his was his that was his manifesto. He offered the world a neutral meeting ground for the black market. So if agents from Hezbollah and agents from Al Qaeda needed to speak face to face, they did it in Liberia. He offered, said, if you want to have your international terrorism groups, they need to do a negotiation, do it right here under my supervision.
Right.
And it was, not long after, Asia's divided up. You have Hezbollah in the sandbox, and you've got Al Qaeda in the mountains. That's not by accident. They had to decide which side of the globe was their turf. These negotiations, a bit of them were held in Liberia as this neutral state in the underground black market, soulless monsters who were trying to make life difficult for people.
So final, bring us home because I am stuck in this position right now.
We should probably let Chris get up.
If you were to do if you were to go, I know you still dig into some of the Boston angles. Just give us a little sprinkle of a Boston angle that you are interested in and that you have been further exploring.
The initial idea that the CIA was involved with this man's escape was something that did not mystify me. I said that I'm not convinced on it. And then you start digging into the ranks of his guerrilla army, and there's a handful of them who are also educated in Massachusetts. He met in college. He was at Bentley and his buddy was at BU. They became friends who became revolutionaries, and this man became the second in command in this rebel army. There's other people who left Massachusetts to go fight too, but this guy, second in command of the army was something major.
Well, and one has to remember that big countries like the U.S. and Russia and China, more the U.S. and Russia, will use characters like Taylor to do their dirty work.
Yeah, but like we're accustomed to people aiding, armed struggle in different countries. Like Whitey Bulger's guys loaded up the.
That was the IRA,
yeah. But like we're used to something like that. Those stories. We're not talking. Who knows about a revolution in Liberia? Like when Charles Taylor was in Plymouth, he would tell people, "I'm Liberian. I'm from Liberia."
And they go, "Where?"
And no. These idiots were walking around like, "Why the fuck is there a librarian doing a lock?" Right?
There you go.
Like they had no idea. And so this man who's educated at Bentley College and has never fired a weapon in his life is detailing a revolutionary strategy to prisoners and the guards and the supervisors alike. And none of them have any idea what to do about it because they don't even know, like, they have no idea who to call. And so he's, showing the blueprint of an armed insurrection to, supervisors of jail. And they're fascinated by this, but he's never served in the military. He's been at business school, so that's not really a gangster, way to spend 4 years, you would think.
Well, he kind of, I just, the idea of his like thesis being the plan to,
but I got in contact with this guy. This guy reached out to me. He took a summer course at UMass Boston on Marxism, and he said there was 12 people. There was 12 people in this class when it started. There was 11 when it finished because the professor threw Charles Taylor out of it because the dude would just debate the values of basic Marxism just for the shit of it. And so this mass murdering lunatic is really no different than that poli-sci 101 dweeb that's like, like debating whether or not, fiction writing and nonfiction are the same thing. And, like in reality, those people should not be allowed to sit at the grown-ups table. But, so he's getting thrown out of class for being this, know-it-all type asshole. And, if that happens to us, we go smoke weed somewhere. It happens to him, he goes across the Atlantic Ocean and leads civil wars in two different nations.
We all, exercise.
Have our ways of dealing with stress.
We all
Right.
All right. Well, Nate, with that, I gotta go. My back is spasming. This has been unbelievable.
Yep.
We're gonna cut this up in little pieces. No pun. No. I didn't. Nothing bad.
Everything we talked about centered around people hitting each other with swords.
That's true. Okay. Yes. We're kind of cut up
arms pieces of one kind or another.
The Boo article. All right. Cool. Well, thanks again, Nate Homan, everyone.
Thanks,
Check
Nate.
him out. Just go to the BINJ website. Go to the. We'll put more in the story.
Yeah. Put in Diamonds and Guns. And as for this show, we'll be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Same day, same channel, same time. We don't know who the guest is yet, but we're sure it's going to be someone good. So peace. See you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to press. Now we freeze while I press